Good morning, guys. It's Mr. Fox. How are you? Happy Monday. Today I want to talk about consistency and how you can create greater consistency in your life to have much greater success and also to build up your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and that of your children. On Friday when we got together, we talked about commitment and 3 reasons to make them. And one of the reasons was that by committing to something, that it would lead to greater consistency, and by taking more consistent action, you would increase the likelihood of success many times over. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can create greater consistency. And anyone that shares this video, I'm going to send you a free worksheet that's going to help you do just that. Let me start by asking you a question. Do you ever feel like you're running on ice? Like you're trying to get ahead and you're not getting any better at a particular thing? Or let me flip it over to your kids. Do your kids ever come to you and say, I can't do it? Well, what do? How do you help them in that moment? I know how you feel, because I felt the same way. And not just for a little while, but for about 30 years. I was a drummer when I was a kid, and I was self-taught. My father was a drummer, my cousin was a drummer. I had friends who were really, really good drummers. And I would hear them play, and they were so good, and I was so bad. And I would get together in my basement and play, and just really beat myself up, because, quite frankly, I sucked, and they were great. And so for 30 years, I'm like, why even bother? I mean, I'm not very good at this, and I'm never going to get good at this. And it was pretty rough. And it was hurtful because I loved the drums so much. I went out to Arizona a number of years ago, and I visited my dad, and he has since passed away, but I went out there and visited with him. And he and I played the drums together for about 5 hours one afternoon. There's a picture of that. And it was a really life-changing day for me because he said to me, he said, you know, son, I've worked with a lot of musicians, and you bring something to the table that a lot of them don't. You're a really good timekeeper. And so many guys do fancy stuff, but they don't keep good time. And that's something that you do. So, keep building on that. And that compliment from him changed my life. I went back and I started practicing half an hour, 4 or 5 days a week. Then I started taking lessons. And for the first time, I felt good. Like I could do this. I no longer compare myself to other people. That's something I've gotten away from. But I realize I'm better now. And all that time I wasted for 30 years beating myself up. And so I analyzed all that and figured out, how did I make that happen, and how can I help you guys with that? Well, there's really 3 things that happened. And I hope that you can apply the same thing. First thing, if you want to make massive change and make consistency a part of your life, you can't do it unless you have a big enough reason why. You've got to have a purpose. Why are you doing what you do? If you don't know it, you got to take a couple of minutes and think about it. Why are you doing it? What's your big enough why? Because until you have that, you're not going to put the consistent time into making yourself better. So, number 1, big enough reason why. Number 2, you've got to find your talent, because there has to be some anchor, some hook, something that you bring to the table that says, well, I'm good at this particular area of this thing, but I need to get better at all these other areas. But you have to have you can't go around thinking that you just totally stink at the whole thing. You don't. Find something that you're good at. So for example, in Taekwondo, maybe it is, I'm not very good at doing forms, but man, do I love to kick. Well, hang on to that fact that you do great roundhouse kicks and work on those forms, but you don't suck. You have other areas that you need to work on. And so find your talent. That's number 2. And number 3, write it down. You have to write down what your goal is. I like to write my goals on a piece of paper and put it in the bathroom mirror. I read it in the morning. I read it at night. Constant reminder of what your goal is, of what your purpose is, and then you'll keep doing it. And I guarantee you, you will get better. Don't make the mistake I did. Don't spend 30 years beating yourself up because you're not good enough at something. Go take massive action and do it consistently, and you can be significantly better. Hey, if you're already our student, great. If you're not, please go to our website. It's unitedsportstkd.net. If you live in the Downingtown area, if you live in the Hatfield area, it's bucksmonttKD.com. Give us your email address on the website. We'll write you back to give you a greeting, and then you can let us know how we can help you. Have a great Monday. Have a great week. See ya.